Today, I'd like to start a new series on the most unique and interesting Seiko Landmasters. Before I get any further, a brief history. The first one was released in 1993 as stainless steel. Subsequent models were matte titanium. The inspiration for the watch isn't really terribly surprising if you look at the Rolex Explorer 2. It's a sports watch with an independent GMT hand and a 24-hour bezel. Most other Landmasters have 360-degree compass bezels, but not this. This came out in about 1998, and it was a very unique and special model. As you can see, it says Sagarmatha on the dial. That's Nepali for the Nepali name for Mount Everest, and that really gives the game away. This watch was custom designed for a famous Japanese explorer by the name of Ken Noguchi. This was particularly for a Mount Everest expedition, given the dial name. And the requests he had were, he wanted a watch that was more scratch-proof than the prior Landmasters. And as you can see, this is shiny. It does have scratches, but it's shiny compared to the prior matte titanium watches, and that's because this is Bright's titanium, or a titanium alloy, that is supposed to be much more scratch resistant. The second part was the bezel. This bezel is 24 hours, much like that Explorer I mentioned. But the reasoning for this one, and by the way, this is fixed, and this is not fixed, I mean, in that it's bidirectional and not fixed. The reasoning for Noguchi was the 24-hour bezel can be used to keep track of supplemental oxygen use, which is sort of interesting because when I first realized that, I thought, wait, but there's a 24-hour scale on the chapter ring, but no, this was designed to measure supplemental oxygen. His third request was to get rid of minute hash marks on the dial. His reasoning being, if you're oxygen deprived and very groggy, having to deal with minute hash marks would be one additional unnecessary step in figuring out how much time had elapsed. Those are the three main components. So we have titanium alloy for the case, 24 hours on the bezel, and no minute markers. But another thing that's really unique is the bezel material. This is Cermet. Cermet is a hybrid of ceramic and various metals. Now, this isn't the first time Seiko used ceramics, as they had used it for Seiko tuna can shrouds prior to this. But it's very, very unique, and it definitely stands out from all of the Landmasters that came before and after. Now, I'm not an explorer, so while these features are interesting, they're useless to me. The thing that really makes this watch, for me, is the green dial. It's a bit simpler as far as technology goes, but there you have it. The dial is this beautiful green gradient that changes color depending on the angle of light. And it's particularly noticeable when you're outside in sunlight. It's a really striking dial, and to be honest, I don't ever remember seeing a dial just like this in any other watch. Movement-wise, it's a kinetic 5M45, so there's really nothing special to write home about for that. I believe this is the first Landmaster that had a diver's extension clasp. And basically, there you have it. This was the first of the ceramic Landmasters. Again, initially it was released in '98. Then a limited edition came out a few years later because Noguchi managed to scale the 7 tallest peaks on 7 continents. That second one is even harder to get than this unnumbered one. I got mine from Japan, and since it's a kinetic, you don't really have to worry too much about long-term maintenance so long as the capacitor has been replaced. when I did close-ups on it, I did notice that there's some lume cracking on the GMT hand. So I guess I should keep an eye on that. But I don't think this watch is old enough for that to be realistically a problem. And that's about it for this first segment of Unique Landmasters. And as usual, thanks for watching.